Money Vikings, hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I want to do a interesting one today. It's a little bit in honor of Comic-Con going on right now, which is pretty exciting. But I wanted to talk about the top 5 collectible categories for the next 10 years. So no one really knows what's going to happen with collectibles, but I have a pretty good sense of the intellectual property, and that's what I'd like to go into and talk about that a little bit from a collector's standpoint. My Before I go into these 5 categories, I'm going to use keycollectorcomics.com as a way to hone in and focus in on key issues because that's really what holds value in the comic book and collecting world over the long run. Your run of the mill kind of, month in, week in out issues, most of them don't hold any value. They don't go up in value. They're just they're disposable. They're kind of just meant to be enjoyed and enjoy the story, enjoy the characters, enjoy the art, and then they basically, go to the Goodwill, dollar comic bin, basically. That's where I'd say about 94% of comics and collectibles are headed, right? So that's just what they are. They're it's pop art, and it's a consumable thing just to be enjoyed and kind of, I don't want to say tossed, but probably recycled and given to the Goodwill to be resold to another person or a child to enjoy the art and the story, whatever it might be. But there are those of us out there that are interested in collecting. And so when you're into collecting, I have 2 big factors. So my number one rule of collecting is you only collect things that bring you joy. It's a character that you connect with. It's a story that you connect with. It's a mythology you connect with. It's art that you love. It's art that's dynamic or beautiful to you in some way. And that is my number one rule of collecting. But the second one is to think, 10 years out in terms of IP and intellectual property. And the biggest way you can kind of gauge this is actually quite funny. You need to look at what the little kids are really into, right? If they're all wearing Iron Man masks, then they're really into Iron Man. And chances are in 15, 20, 30 years from now, those little kids are going to grow up and they're going to have a nostalgia and a feeling about Iron Man. There'll be something about Iron Man that they really like. If you see a bunch of kids waving around lightsabers, right, and they're acting like Jedis, well, you can really count on, again, 15, 20, 30 years from now, that something about those stories will be reimagined, will be resurrected, will be brought back into pop culture and into the public domain again. And those kids are going to be adults. They're going to have children of their own. And they're going to want to go watch the movie and buy the comic book and buy the lightsaber and buy the costume, blah, 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 blah. So that's what it is. It's intellectual property. These are imaginative stories, and there's a lot of products that are sold around them. And one of those products are comic books. The last classic one I'll mention before I get into the 5 big areas I think for the future is Spider-Man right now. That's a good example. So Spider-Man with things like Ultimate Fallout, Miles Morales, and I know that's backwards for you, but anyway, it's an Ultimate Fallout first appearance of Miles Morales. That's a very popular character. It's a really great way that they have reimagined the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse is now just so amazing and multidimensional. It's way beyond just our classic Spider-Man at this point, right? So my bottom line is that again, that's a good example that, in 10, 20, 30 years. Now, I would only collect these things if you like them. I like those characters. I like these stories. I like the mythology. I like the dynamics. I like the costumes. I like the art. I like all that stuff. So, all right. So top 5 collectibles for the next 10 years. And again, thinking about this in terms of buying only what brings you joy and thinking in terms of intellectual property. So My first one up is Star Wars. So Star Wars was very big when I was a kid, and many people don't realize that it then went through a lull. So it faded in popularity. I'd say probably in the it seems like definitely around the early 90s. Wasn't that big of a deal anymore. And a lot of people at that time, a lot of kids were growing up, and basically all their toys got sold or just dumped in the garbage or given to the Goodwill or donated to a thrift store or whatever it was. So all those toys got sort of dumped and discarded. Now you find out that 30 plus years later, almost 40 years probably in a lot of ways, Star Wars is getting up there in terms of how long it's been around. George Lucas invented it. The toys are now worth a fortune, right? So if a person had, got a bunch of those toys for Christmas and played with a bunch of them, but if they had just kept like, I don't know, if they kept like 5 of them in like the package, they were probably 79 cents or $1, a couple of bucks maybe to buy one of those figures at the time. And I would say, some of those are worth thousands of dollars, actually, thousands, right, today. So highly collectible. So Disney, having like Galaxy's Edge and all that, you can see it. You can go there and you see with your own eyes. You can see all the little kids that are just enamored with Darth Vader and the Jedis and every other new character that's come out in every new world, right? And then the cool thing about Star Wars, I mean, it's an endless, limitless world. I mean, it's aliens and other planets and these magical Jedis. I mean, you can do almost anything with that, right? It's never ending. So Star Wars is one that I, as a collector, am going to add to the collection over time, with the belief that I enjoy the mythology, I enjoy the collectibles, and that I do believe that they'll go up in value. There'll probably be lulls. There's typically these lulls where it does lose, kind of lose itself or fade away for a little while. But usually these IPs come back. They usually do. So we don't know the future, but that's what I'm thinking. So one of the things I like is Star Wars right here. Star Wars #1, first comic book, Star Wars. I think that's an amazing collectible there. Darth Vader looks pretty crazy in that picture with the green. But yeah, Star Wars #1. It's a pretty good one. So, okay. That's the first one. Second one is, I touched on it earlier, Spider-Man. So I think Spider-Man in my book is kind of, again, a forever collectible. So here's a Spider-Man number 31. If This Be My Destiny. I just love this iconic cover. I love the red. I think it's just great, right? Really cool book. So Spider-Man keys. That's the thing about it. Not every Spider-Man book is going to be popular or hold its value. But I'll click here on the key. I'm on the key collectors right here. And I'm just going to scroll down and see what kind of Spider-Mans. Okay, so here's one. So here's Amazing Spider-Man number 100. That's a key right there. Amazing Spider-Man number 101. But anyway, you can do your own research and you can find all kinds of great lists about the key Spider-Man issues. Amazing Spider-Man 121, Amazing Spider-Man 122, and it'll go into why these are the keys, first appearance of that, maybe a famous artist did the cover, whatever it is. Amazing Spider-Man 129, First Punisher, that's a popular one. We've got okay, so those are those. All right, let me go back. Let me look at modern. There's modern keys as well that are Spider-Man keys. Maybe Spider-Man 361, First Carnage. Let's see what else we can. Oh, for the Venom, that's the Spider-Man world, of course. Web of Spider-Man 118. Anyway, on and on. You can do your own research, but I think the Spider-Man keys are definitely going to hold value. So there you go. I'm always about good old neighborhood friendly Spider-Man for sure. Here's one here, Secret Wars number 8, first black costume on the cover there. So that's pretty cool too. Yep, first black costume. That was a fan idea, by the way. That really took off. Okay, so that's number 2, Spider-Man. All right. My next one is, I don't have a sample of it here, but I do have some of them. So Batman. I think Batman is another one that is always going to be, I just think it's a forever. Here's some Batman Beyond, Batman 567, Batman Harley Quinn. So you got the Joker movie that came out, kind of the darker version with Joaquin Phoenix or whatever. Batman 635. So Batman's another one that I think is going to stand the test of time. You know, it has so much going on. People love Batman. Yeah, Batman's great. So you can find all the Batman keys. Let's see here, copper, bronze. Let's look at Bronze Age Batman keys. Detective Comics 400. Oh, this is a classic Batman 227. What is that? Iconic Neil Adams cover right there. I love that one. Would love to have that one. So anyway, Batman's another one. I think it's just a forever collectible. Okay. All right. Next one I want to talk about is X-Men. Right. So X-Men are another one. Is another one where I think it was Giant Size X-Men. Yeah, here it is. Giant Size X-Men number 1. Anything X-Men, and in X-Men, I'm gonna put certain characters right into the mix. So Wolverine, anything Wolverine, and then I'm gonna even add Deadpool. So I know he's, New Mutants, whatever. I'm gonna put that into the same category. But obviously Deadpool is extremely popular. But Wolverine, one of the most famous X-Men. There's Wolverine number 1. I'm going to put that into the forever kind of category where people are going to always really, really dig it. And the next one, the last one I'm going to go to, kind of dovetails into it, is Avengers. So I'm not a big Avengers collector, so I don't have a lot of it. But as I mentioned at the top of the post, so, Iron Man, Captain America, those are classics. And the Avengers universe is pretty cool. The whole Marvel Cinematic Universe seems to be having a hard time right now, getting its traction again. But again, that's what I mean. These things have their lulls. They have their sort of hype moments, and they get really big, and everyone buys like an plastic Infinity Gauntlet, and then it goes away. So that's just the nature of the beast. It ebbs and flows. So that's why I always say you got to only invest in things that you really, really enjoy, in terms of think of them as little works of art and just stuff to enjoy. So with that, those are my 5 big key collectible areas of the next 10 years. And be careful about investing in collectibles. Don't get too carried away. I don't think it's something to get too carried away with. There's only a certain amount of space, a certain amount of money. What are you going to do with all this stuff? Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed when I see these videos of people with like walls and walls and like a house filled with stuff with collectibles. It's like, I don't know. This got a little out of control in my mind, but just my opinion, teach their own. So, all right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.